Good morning, everybody, and I mean a really good morning, a really early morning. Welcome to another edition of a special edition of Inside the Pigskin. This is your crew today. My name is Scott Morganroth, along with Candy Ebling. I'm the Motor City Madmouth, along with Mel Farr Jr. and Marvin Powell III. We're doing some early morning. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I know Marvin's out in New York City in Times Square. What's it been like up there?
Man, it's been cold. It's been windy. But the family's having a great time, kids having a great time, and New York is always great for the holidays. Lived here as a kid when my dad was with the Jets, so it feels good to be home to us to a degree.
Nothing like the old Big Apple during that time of the year. I can only imagine.
Oh yeah,
it's one of the things I'd like to be able to do is go out there and spend time in the Big Apple this time of the year. We'll get into that. We have a good show to get to. Hopefully, those individuals will wake up with us and be entitled to some good football. So, Mel, you have a good Thanksgiving?
I had a great Thanksgiving. A lot of family, friends, and grandkids. All my grandkids except for one here. I got 5 grandkids. They're all here except for one, the oldest one. So, yeah, it was great.
It was great to spend time with my dad, my nephew, Brandon, and we ended up going to Dandy Donuts because nothing was open in South Florida. Not even the Chinese places or Mexican places were even open. You know what? Dandy Donuts was good. That Philly cheesesteak was even better. All right, let's got a lot of business to take care of. Get to a couple basic topics before we get to the USC UCLA game. A few are really impressing. Candy and I, by the way, will be headed to the University of South Florida against Rice Owls. And I'll tell you, we're walking into a situation that's going to be interesting. All I can tell you is good luck to my friend Brian Segrist in the press conference that's going to wait us up at Raymond James Stadium. Because I've never walked into a storyline waiting to happen. This is definitely going to be it. So let's start off with Jim Moore's decision to leave University of Connecticut for Colorado State and rejoin the Pac-12. Obviously, he's heading back west. So what's interesting about this whole situation was I was at the FAU game last Saturday night. And here's the thing. I was hoping to do a one-on-one interview with Jim Moore Jr., but he opted to go over to see his family instead. So everything I had prepared for went all for naught. Little did we find out 4 days later, he's going to be over at UConn. So, well, what do you think about it? Coming up 2 9-win seasons. His stock has never been any higher. The team is an independent. So it's unbelievable. If there's ever a time to leave a situation, Mel, what are your thoughts?
Oh, well, good for him. As long as it's not coming back to UCLA, it's a good opportunity for him. He's been coaching for a long time, man. Guy started at a very young age. I have a lot of respect for his dad and what he did in the NFL. As far as what he did at UCLA, I didn't particularly care for him at UCLA. He was here in Atlanta. I didn't think that he got the most out of Michael Vick. I don't think he held Michael Vick accountable. So I think that the fans missed something because of that. But I think it's because he was young and it was very difficult for him. I think I think he probably got the job a little bit too early in his career. I think they kept him here a little bit too long. But good for him. He's landed on his feet after after what happened at UCLA. He gets an opportunity to come back to the rebranded Pac-12. It's not the same Pac-12 that he left, but he gets an opportunity to come back to the Pac-12, which is going to be it's not going to be a Power 4 conference. It's going to be a Group 6 or whatever it is.
Yeah, Group of 5 is what it'll be.
Yeah, Group of 5. Yeah, so right. Good for him. But Colorado State I believe is a tough job. Connecticut's a tough job, but he did well there. So we'll see what happens. But good for him.
All right, Marvin, some thoughts.
Yeah, I kind of look at him like Lane Kiffin, a guy who has had a lot of jobs, relatively young, but has a real resume. Resume isn't necessarily great in regards to wins, losses, championships, but the experience matters. And, the fact that he has success at UConn is relevant. The fact that he's been the head coach of major brands in the NFL and UCLA, that's relevant. This guy, he will continue to grow. He'll continue to develop. He'll continue to be better. I thought he was headed for a bigger job in Colorado State, to be honest with you. With his resume and the success he's had at UConn, I thought he'd be up for a bigger job. I did. I actually thought that UCLA would look at him as a rebrand, bring him back as a a different coach. Bring him back as a more experienced coach, and sell that, because I think he adds value. I really do. But yeah, Colorado State, it's a proud program. Small, mid-major, but relevant. They put a lot of guys. They put guys in the pros. They've had their seasons where they were up. So we'll see what he does. If he does well there, then we'll see him again at a Power Four, at a major, maybe back in the NFL. You never know.
Well, here's the thing. The guy obviously is at UConn, which is a basketball school. We all know about the reputation of Gino Auriemma and Jim Calhoun. And one of the questions I never got a chance to ask him, because he wasn't there for me to do it, was what it's like. Well, obviously he knew what his next move was. And Colorado State, to me, it's a situation where they have everything to gain, nothing to lose with them, because he's already leaving when his value is as high as it can be working for an independent. So more power to Jim Mora. I will get you in Colorado State. Bear in mind, it's in the Denver market too, though. So have a little bit more to work with, and it won't be a basketball school. Candy, go ahead. Your thoughts. You're going to be on the whole show anyway, so it doesn't matter. We have the four of us. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, UConn's a basketball school, so I kind of get it. Like, he's been around for a long time. He's had some success some places. Sometimes it's about finding the right fit for you, and getting paid. Let's face it, that's what it's all about. So kudos to him. Kudos to Colorado State for getting him. Let's see what he can do if the proof is in the pudding.
Now, I had a situation a few weeks ago when we saw FAU take on University of Alabama Birmingham. Trent Dilfer got fired. That's why I couldn't go ahead and talk to him. No media availability. Entering Alex Mortensen, the father of Chris, by the way. Chris Mortensen, rest in peace, died of cancer. So there was no media availability to be had with Trent. Unfortunately, the problem that you have, is this. Number one, UAB has not hired a coach yet. We'll see exactly what eventually does happen. But Trent Dilfer, who knows where he's going to land? I don't know, TV, whatever. But Alex Mortensen did a decent job under the circumstances, considering the hand that he was dealt. Marvin, I'll let you lead off with this.
Yeah, I saw that. First of all, with Trent, at one point it seemed like that was going to work, and the reality is, I think with NIL and just this new era and everything they're in, I don't know if UAB is able to compete. Obviously, they weren't winning enough games. But when Mort's son went out there and won his first game, I think they won. I think they beat a decent team too. I forgot who it was, but they had a nice win. This is what it is, man. It's just like with UCLA. You change head coaches and you change the energy. You change momentum. You get some stank off you. Once you get different leadership. You know what I mean? So hopefully Mort could get that job and finish what he started. He definitely has momentum. And listen, there are a lot of players, a lot of football players in Alabama if they're recruiting from the high school level. And obviously with the transfer portal, you get a lot of bounce backs, guys who are at Alabama, at Georgia, who ultimately bounce back to smaller programs just to get playing time. So there's a path for him to win and have some success if he can get that job. So that's my take.
Yeah, unfortunately, like Jim Moore, who had back-to-back 9-win seasons, Moore would at least have an opportunity to at least get the job to see if he can do anything.
Right.
So, Mel, what are your thoughts about the situation that transpired with UAB? And then we'll get into the other layer that took place shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I mean, Trent, I think, was a high school coach, and I think he was doing some television at the time in which he got the job at UAB. I think that was kind of a reach for UAB, to be honest with you, to take because UAB, is a big-time program. When I say big-time program, they've had success in football prior to NIL. When the NIL came along, that changed the landscape for a lot of these smaller programs. But UAB, people have heard about UAB before, and I thought that was a kind of a reach when they got Trent Dilfer. With Mortensen, he's been doing this for a while. I think he's from around here. He went to school with the high school here. And I think it'd be a great opportunity for him. It's not too big of a job for him where it could intimidate him and possibly ruin a career for him. But I think it's a perfect opportunity for him. They came out, they beat Memphis, so there's a lot of excitement. Memphis, I think, was ranked number 22 at that time. So I think there was a lot of excitement, a lot of new energy, new blood. I don't think they've won a game since then. but I don't think that's indicative of his ability to coach. I think they should definitely give him an opportunity that will help him keep some of the players that they have there, keep them from jumping in the transfer portal and going elsewhere, and also help him on the recruiting trail this year. So I think he should get that job, but it's above my pay grade.
Alex Mortensen, we're rooting for you. Candy, some thoughts about this, and then we're going to get into something that transpires shortly thereafter.
Well, let's face it. Also, as individuals that are playing on that program, all of a sudden, when a coach gets fired and a new interim coach comes in, there's kind of there's a new blood, but there's also like accountability for the players, and they're like they have to say to themselves, you know what, our coach got fired. What did we do? What can we do to make us look good going forward? Because if we want to stay or do we want to go in the transfer portal, in order for us to get paid or get NIL money or anything like that, we need to really show up on the field. And maybe that's a little bit of the inspiration and why they won that first game, besides the coach too. So, Trent it didn't work out. Not all coaches are going to be able to really perform well in the NIL era and overcome if you don't have the resources for NIL to compete with some of the other teams that do have NIL. It makes it very difficult. And it's a new realm that people are still learning and trying to navigate around.
Chris Mortensen, rest in peace. Alex Mortensen, we're all pulling for you to get the job. Other layer to this is, unfortunately, a few weeks ago, 2 UAB players were stabbed. USF Bulls obviously hammered them pretty good. I don't know if you heard about this story or not. So Candy will give you more information about what took place there. It's an unfortunate incident that the programs had to deal with. USF spanked them over it out there. So go ahead, Candy, give some more insight to this story.
So an offensive lineman for the UAB Blazers football team who was accused of stabbing 2 fellow teammates before last weekend's football game has been released from jail. I'm not going to name any names, but he was released from jail on Wednesday nights following his arrest on Saturday. The bond was set between $90,000, $30,000 for his first-degree assault charge, and $60,000 for attempted murder. So he transferred to UAB this year after a stint at Kentucky. He is charged with stabbing 2 defensive linemen. The stabbing happened hours before the Blazers were set to face off against South Florida at Protective Stadium. The team ended up losing 48-18. Both of the gentlemen have been released from the hospital. It did happen at the facility early in the morning, it said. So he was actually trying to murder one of the guys, and he assaulted the other one in the process. So not good news, obviously, from UAB. That's never good, but
he stabbed his own teammate. Is that
yes,
okay.
2
Right.
teammates.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I heard about this. Yeah, I heard about this. Yeah. No, this is terrible, man. Listen, you're dealing with college kids. You're dealing with young men, emotional, maybe in this case, obviously, maybe low emotional intelligence. My understanding is that it's a feud that started from practice. Listen, those practice fights can be vicious. Mel will tell you, man, you go out there, in a drill or some one-on-one pass rush, whatever it may be. Someone hits you late. They stay with the play too long, whatever it may be. And it's already a physical situation, so you ready to take it to another level. The thing about it is, when you leave the field and you leave the locker room, it's over. You don't that doesn't carry on beyond that. You handle that in practice. You handle that in the locker room. I've seen it done a dozen times in my life. You know what I mean? There's no carryover. For him to stab somebody, I mean, it's not funny, but it's like it's mind-boggling to think that a young man could take it that far. Again, especially in a sport where you can brutalize somebody. He can go out there on the next play in practice and try to kill this dude. You know what I mean? So for him to take it there is a bit much. And I would say that person has some emotional issues to deal with. That's definitely a mental health situation. That's not normal. Adversity is normal. Problems with your teammates is normal. Words and pushing and shoving and throwing punches is normal. But it's not normal to, after practice, a day after, whatever it may be, try to attack somebody with a knife. That's insane. And Mel will tell you, especially in college when dudes are really young and immature, I mean, you hear and see some just crazy stuff. It is what it is, but it gets handled properly. You know what I'm saying? You don't do what this young man did. So I hope everybody ends up being okay physically, and I hope everybody is able to heal from that trauma.
Mel?
Yeah, that was an unbelievable story when I first saw it. And Marvin, I mean, I think he said it perfectly in this situation. Um, there's a lot of things that happen on the football field. I mean, I've seen a lot of things in the weight room, all that kind of stuff, but never does it escalate to that point. I mean, yeah, guys will throw blows and stuff like that, but other guys step in and they'll stop it. You know, guys shout and do all kind of things. Nobody threatens somebody's life. I mean, I've never seen that before where they threaten somebody's life or did something where they grab something like a weapon. I've seen some guys grab some plates down in the weight room and act like they're going to do something with it, but nobody's trying to really hurt anyone in that manner. So I would like to, and I'm kind of surprised that he's out on bail. So I mean, I wonder what his story was out on bond. I kind of wonder what his story was, what his reasoning was. But I'd like to get a little bit more information about this story. But because when I first heard about it, yeah, I mean, it was very upsetting. And some guys opted not to play because of it. And so tough, then, here we are talking about Alex Mortensen. That was the first thing that comes to my mind. Man, he gets an interim job and now he's got to deal with this. So not only is he, dealing with the interim title, he's also dealing, with this type of tragedy that happened in his locker room.
No question about it. The only thing I can say is thankfully nobody got passed away. And we'll leave it at that. All right. With that said, we're going to go up to a different situation, and that situation's up I-75. As Candy and I get to take the track up to Raymond James Stadium, as I mentioned at the top of the show, and that sticks. Okay. The University of South Florida Bulls take on Rice Owls. Okay. What's interesting about the game at 7 p.m.? Well, the game should be what it is, but it probably might be the storylines that take place thereafter. USF CEO Rob Higgins is prepared either way if head coach Alex Golesh elects to accept the Arkansas Razorbacks job. Candy and I, as I said, are going to the game. Now, keep in mind, though, this, okay? Alex Golesh is 1-7 versus conference opponents with a winning record. So that will not be acceptable. And if you don't believe me, ask Sam Pittman and Brett Bielema. So, Alex, I understand that you might be looking at upward mobility. I don't think the Arkansas Razorbacks job is the way to do it, because all you need to know is that Brett Bielema left the Wisconsin Badgers and he's with the Illinois Fighting Illini. I listen, I know Alex well. I've worked with him a few times. Very personable guy. Has a lot of Dan Campbell in him because he's willing to roll the dice and gamble all over the field. So I have the utmost respect for him. I really like Alex, and I hope he makes the best move for him and his family. But my goodness, it's hard to believe that you can walk into a press conference. And I've had a few interesting ones, Marvin, as you can recently tell, when I had to deal with a situation with North Carolina State recently. Won't get into that now. Yeah, I did. Yeah, well, I'll mention it real quickly. Dave Doran obviously had a different idea for what a birthday interpretation is than anybody normally on the planet. We'll leave it at that. I'll save that for another day. But listen, you go into a press conference, how do you approach it with a guy that has another big decision, as we're talking about with Lane Kiffin? If we have time, we might make predictions later, but we don't. We'll have to be conscious of what the real objective here. But this, I'm going into a press conference looking to report on a game, but we know there's a side story. Good luck, Brian Seacrest. Looking forward to seeing later on, and the rest of the people out there. So let's face it. You go to Arkansas. Bobby Petrino tried to salvage that dumpster fire earlier this year, unable to do so. So what's your take, Marvin, about the whole USF situation and what Rob Higgins? He's prepared to go either way. I'm sure he's probably been building a list of potential candidates, and we won't even talk about potential candidates until this has actually happened. USF, my alma mater, by the way, and I have to do this.
If it's your alma mater, I'm gonna have mercy on this Thanksgiving weekend.
Do.
No, listen. The fact that this guy, I think you said he's 1-7 versus the top competition or teams with the winning record. That's not a good thing.
Right.
Listen, it could be a situation where he's coaching his butt off, getting the most out of these guys. But maybe these guys are the issue. And I was being honest with you. Maybe he goes to Arkansas, a school in the SEC, and maybe he has success because he's dealing with a different caliber of athlete. He's recruiting a different caliber of athlete. I would say that if you're a good coach, you find a way to win where you're at. And based on what you're saying, his record versus winning competition, that's not good. It's not going to be easier going to Arkansas, where you've seen many men go and just die. You've seen men going other. I mean, what coach has really had success there in the last 15, 20 years? Who can you think of? And Brett Bielema I thought was a good coach. I think he's a good coach.
Yeah.
So I think you're walking into a tough situation going to Arkansas. I think that for this guy, it's definitely a step up on the resume to say you coached in the SEC, so you want to take that. With that said, that comes with a payday. Hey, we do this. It's this is professional coaching at the collegiate level. You do this, for a check. You do this to feed your family. So obviously, that SEC money, that Arkansas money, is going to be a little bit better than that South Florida money. So I can understand why an aspiring coach, who may be given an opportunity to go to SEC, may jump on it, even if they're not ready for that, even if that's not really the caliber of coach they are yet. But we're going to find out, because those coaches in the SEC will expose you. Those teams will expose you. Arkansas, is a respectable program, but you don't ever hear their name really at the top of that food chain in the SEC. And if they don't, and again, NIL money, I don't know. I can't speak on Arkansas's program. They may have some Walmart money. I don't know. But, it's a situation where if he doesn't get that NIL money, then it doesn't matter. He could be, Vince Lombardi. He could be Pete Carroll. If you don't have the caliber of players you need to compete, it's going to get worse. It's going to be bad. So with that said, I encourage him to be ambitious. Go for it.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, he's leaving the American Conference possibly to go over there. So the American Conference, and he's going to get an on-campus stadium if he stays put, and he could get a statue. Yeah, Vince Lombardi and Pete Carroll, ideal people to compare to, because obviously there's a different situation. You could be a guy who's either cherished, or you might just ended up find yourself swallowed up here. But I understand now. He said, okay, keep in mind, I'm not going anywhere. Well, we heard that line from Nick Saban and 9 million other people. But in Nick Saban's case, I don't blame him for leaving the Dolphins, because he had Joey Harrington as his quarterback and he wanted Drew Brees. We'll leave that for another day. But again, you're going to Arkansas. Again, I'm not saying Arkansas is a bad job and the money's good, but it's the way these coaches have been swallowed up. But he says, I'm not going anywhere. I do believe him at heart, because I know the guy is sincere, but we're going to find out over the next 24 hours whether indeed, and then Rob Higgins has some work to do. Mel, take it from there.
Arkansas is one of those programs that's unrealistic, has unrealistic expectations. Now, they brought Brett Bielema down there. Brett Bielema had a good job and was doing a great job at Wisconsin, gave him a boatload of money, and he went down to Arkansas and could not get it done. I liked what the previous coach was, Sam Pittman. I thought he was, the first year that he was there, they were very, very competitive. Unless Arkansas becomes like Oregon, where the Walmart family gets involved and really supports that program, Arkansas is never going to be relevant in football. It's just it's unrealistic. And unfortunately for small schools like FAU, USF, FIU, they're always going to be stepping stones to another job for, just like what he's doing here. For big schools like Arkansas or whoever, Penn State, they're going to be a stepping stone for coaches. Just like Lane, he went down there, rehabilitated his image down there, where at FIU, one of those schools that he went to.
Well, it was FAU, I saw it. Yeah,
and then landed the Ole Miss job. So unfortunately, USF is going to always find themselves in this type of situation. They're not going to be able to compete money wise with the SEC. And so for a guy like, for this guy here, man, this is an opportunity to, change course for his family financially. So if he is in the running for it and Arkansas is offering him the money, and I'm sure they're offering him a boatload of money, I mean, he should jump at it. But it's not going to change, the results. The first year they may do something a little bit different, but man, the SEC, like Marvin says, it's different. Lane has proven that he can do it in the SEC. He came from FAU. He's proven that he could do it in the SEC. He had trouble in the Pac-12. He had, he was in the SEC a while ago, but only for a hot minute, and jumped back and went to USC. But Lane has proven that he can do it. It's different in the SEC, and a lot of coaches are finding that out. I mean, Brett Bielema found that out when he came down here from Wisconsin. It is different, down here in the SEC. But if he leaves, it wouldn't surprise me, and I wouldn't have any problem with him doing it, because that could change the course for his family financially.
Let me tell you, Sam Pittman will get another job. If you're FAU, I'd be worried about this move, because number one, Zach Kittley's a heck of a coach. Number two, he developed Pat Mahomes, and here's a guy that after what we've been seeing over the last few times, this guy will be in high demand, if not this coaching cycle, the next one. So there's no question about it. FAU, to me, is a good program, but nobody can keep anybody there. Candy, we'll let you talk about it. Then we're going to get on to, obviously, the main event, USC versus UCLA.
Alex Golish signed a 6-year contract with South Florida December of 2022, worth over $15.3 million, with an annual salary of $2.5 million for the first 3 years. He quickly has, over the 3 seasons at USF, has posted a 22-15 record, including back-to-back bowl appearances and bowl wins. In 2025, he led the Bulls back to the AP Top 25 for the first time in 7 seasons. The program recorded several signature wins with this season, including Boise State, Florida, North Texas, and Florida Atlantic. He's proven that he's an offensive acumen, recruiting momentum in the Southeast, and demonstrated ability to modernize a roster via the portal. So, I mean, kudos to Arkansas if they do get him, and kudos to Golish for having the success and now using the coaching at USF as a stepping stone. And yes, some of these smaller schools will always be stepping stones.
Robert Taylor, glad to have you in the chat room. God bless, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, there's no question that we had. All right, now the main event. Okay. Thanks for everybody staying with us here. All right, Marvin, here you go. A little FYI out in Times Square. Willie McGinnis, the former Trojan, will lead USC out of the tunnel versus UCLA. You know Willie?
Yeah, I've met Willie. I met Willie when I was playing at USC. Yeah, I'll tell you, it was funny. So he was with the Patriots, with the New England Patriots, right. And he would come back to USC to work out in the off season. Now, keep in mind, when he was in college, when he played at USC, my dad and I would go to the games. All right, so we'd go to Coliseum, we'd see him. Willie played on a team that lost to Memphis State. And when I ran into him years later at SC, when he was working out in the offseason, I brought that up. He got upset with me. He had some words with a young Marvin Powell. So that's my relationship with Willie McGinnis from back in the day. But great player, great Trojan, and I'm excited he's leading us out. Who better to do it?
Hey, Robert Taylor, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, would you kindly please do so? You'll get all the updates
on our channel.
Oh, is he?
He's commenting. He's watching it through YouTube. So
beautiful. Glad. Hey, listen, Marvin's getting all this airtime, so you can't miss your man, Marvin. This guy's unbelievable. Marvin and I and Mel, the three of us are the three amigos. Candy's right there with us. So she's a Rolls Royce of this whole operation because of what she does behind the scenes. So great stuff. So, yeah, I got news for you. Marvin and Mel are stars. Me, I'm just whatever I am. I don't care. Draw your own conclusions. So, all right, Mel, any thoughts about Willie McGinnis before we let you guys battle it out?
I mean, it's not gonna help. Is he suiting up?
Great stuff. All right, well, that's good enough. That's all right. Is he suiting up? I don't know. I know I'm not suiting up, but I'll do. They'll be intrigued.
He's doing, Scott? He's transferring that energy. He's giving us that energy as a Super Bowl champion, as a dominant Trojan. That's what he's doing. So is he suiting up? Not really. But he's
that'll last for one series until they get hit in the mouth. And then they'll realize, wow, we're in a street fight. Because that's what this is. It's an good old-fashioned street fight. It don't matter.
Well, you know what? We'll have the bragging rights part of it on Tuesday night on Inside the Picks in our next edition. But let's go over.
Scott, before we jump into it, I need to know, is this family show or is this grown folks show moving forward? I need to know.
This is early in the morning, so I'll let you guys go ahead a little bit.
I'm always PG-13. I'm always PG-13. Always.
Okay.
Family show.
Okay.
All right. So let me play the Michael Buffer business here, okay? Because obviously, let's get ready to rumble. Here's the thing: you got UCLA, which is moving to SoFi. But you have the Rose Bowl lawsuit, which I don't even know whether it'll be relevant anyhow. So now we have the intrigue, okay? So here you go. It's a far cry. Obviously, Wi-Fi, SoFi, whatever. SoFi Stadium is a far cry from the Rose Bowl, but yet it's closer to the LA Coliseum. So you guys are LA people, right? It doesn't matter what stadium this is going to be played in. And first of all, I'm going to ask you guys, what are your thoughts about that lawsuit that the Rose Bowl is trying to do to cling on to keep them to begin with?
Well, look, I'll be honest. It does kind of break my heart that UCLA is trying to get away from the Rose Bowl. I think it's a part
Okay.
of their tradition. I think it's a part of I when I think of UCLA, I think of the Rose Bowl. I get
Okay.
that. I also realize that these venues, I mean, a lot of these venues, man, are up to date with technology and just the fan experience and the guest experience. And the Rose Bowl might be dated. I don't know. I haven't been there since the USC Texas game, but I enjoyed that. I'm an old school football guy. You know what I mean? So I appreciate the older places and the historic stadiums and the history and the men that have played in these stadiums. And to me, right into the Rose Bowl for the UCLA game or for the Rose Bowl game itself, that's part of the whole experience. You know what I'm saying? So it's the granddaddy of them all. When they take that aerial shot with the drone, there's nothing like it, to be honest with you. And again, as a football traditionalist, it breaks my heart. So far, I haven't been there, but I've heard all the bells and whistles. They're talking about Super Bowls there. So that just tells you what it is, from an entertainment standpoint, from an experience, technology, and all that. And the game is evolving. And I keep reminding myself, it's not a game, it's a business. It's not about the game, it's about the money. It's not about the players, it's about the money. And if you understand that, then you understand this. So it's tough trying to balance progress with tradition. And I think the SoFi move will ultimately be, I guess it'd be good financially, but UCLA, and I don't know how it happens. It blows my mind they don't have a stadium on campus. I don't know where you put it, but a school, if they have 100 national championships, you know what I'm saying? You're talking about Jackie Robinson, you're talking about Lou Alcindor and John Wayne. I mean, yeah, this is back in the day, man, but this is historic. This is their foundation that they stand on. So when I think about their whole culture, to me, it's synonymous with the Rose Bowl. I hate it, but I get it.
So, is there any merit to that lawsuit? I'll let Mel take it
Oh,
over
the
from there.
lawsuit. So they try to make their money. I mean, I get that. Listen. If UCLA leaves the Rose Bowl, who else? I mean, it's gonna rot and die. That's their home. They've made it. USC ain't going there. There's no other college team stepping up to go there. The high school teams, you can't fund that stadium. You can't have that stadium live off the high school proceeds. So yeah, I think in that lawsuit, whoever is in charge of that situation is fighting for their livelihood.
All right, Mel, briefly on this, and then Candy's going to give stats, and you got to get to battle it out the rest of the way until about 8:20. And I'm taking the rest of the show off. Let you guys battle it. So Marvin gets out of here on time. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Mel.
yeah, I'm a little older than Marvin, so tradition for me was when UCLA and USC played in the Coliseum. Now, 2 years before I went to UCLA, they actually started going to the Rose Bowl, and I was disappointed because I don't think I really didn't know that we were playing in the Rose Bowl. I don't think well, obviously when they started recruiting me, they told me that, but I always dreamed of playing in the Coliseum when I went to UCLA and I like playing USC in the Coliseum. I mean, that's because of the tradition of the Coliseum, the history of the Coliseum, with the Olympics being there and so forth. The Rose Bowl was fine. I mean, it was a great place to play because obviously the history and the tradition of the Rose Bowl, but really playing in the Rose Bowl is the big deal about playing in the actual game, the Rose Bowl, not just playing in the Rose Bowl. Playing in the actual game is actually a big deal. The lawsuit, they're trying to keep UCLA there. Now, from my understanding, it's not. I mean, it's pretty much a done deal that they are going to SoFi Stadium. And like Marvin said, it's a business and it's the entertainment business. They don't care about the fan experience. They don't care about the players or anything like that. It's a business and it's the entertainment business. And what they're trying to do is figure out a way in which they can fill up a stadium. Nobody goes out to the Rose Bowl. That's the big problem. It's very difficult to get to. It's an all-day adventure to get out there. The parking is just ridiculous. You're going to walk a good mile to get to the stadium unless you get out there early. It's just tough out there at the Rose Bowl, and the students just aren't going. And we've talked about trying to get a stadium on campus. That's like it's like a dead issue. I mean, it's like dead on arrival when you start talking about trying to have a campus on stadium. We've talked about trying to get one at Drake Stadium, just maybe 40,000 seats so that the players can have that experience that other schools have, your Alabamas, your Georgias, your Michigan, your Penn States, every other school in the country. Because I don't even think the Coliseum is actually on USC's campus. It's just, it's just close. It's as close
across
as
the street. It's across the street.
Okay. Well, then that's like having. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be great to have that. I would love for UCLA to have have a stadium on campus, and even Troy Aikman has been talking. We've been talking about putting a stadium on campus, but there's a lot of a lot of things that had to be dealt with the neighbors and stuff like that. I guess there's some type of there was some type of an agreement, that UCLA would never put a stadium on campus, and but I think the whole idea of the move to SoFi is to make it easier for the students to get there so they can fill it up. Because the worst thing is when you have that area view and UCLA is playing and it's nowhere near capacity at the stadium, and that's not a good look. That doesn't help recruiting. If somebody's watching on TV, that doesn't say, "Hey, man," that doesn't scream out, "Hey, I want to go there." That screams out, "Hey, I probably need to look somewhere else." So, hopefully, it gets done, and hopefully the students and people, not just the students, but also the LA area, because there's so many things that they can do on a Saturday. That hopefully, they'll get behind the program and they'll fill up that stadium. And then of course, you have to have a good product too.
The only thing I'll say about this, Candy goes to stats, is I deal with this Miami Hurricanes, Hard Rock Stadium. They have to bust the students over there. So I totally understand where you're going. Candy, some stats, and then it's up to Marvin and Bell. And they've got about 17 minutes to state their case, exactly why each team is going to win. And I repeat, 17 minutes. If Marvin knows good for him, we'll get out of here at 8:25. But at least I'm out of it, so you can't say I'm too long with it. Candy, go up there. Stats.
So USC leads 51-34-7. UCLA holds the longest winning streak in this series, as UCLA won 8 straight games from 91 to 98. USC's longest streak was for 7 wins from 99 to 2005, which is not recognized because multiple years have vacated wins, but because a vacated win under the NC2A still counts as a loss for the opponent, UCLA's longest losing streak is still the 7 games from 99 to 2005. And the 1967 USC versus UCLA football game was one of historically significant football games of the 20th century. It matched number 4 USC with O.J. Simpson against number 1 UCLA with Gary Beban. Okay, thank you. For the conference championship, national championship, and Heisman Trophy on the line for either of the two of them. USC won 21-20 and went on to defeat Indiana in the Rose Bowl and win the national championship. Despite Simpson's sensational performance in this game and accumulating 1,543 rushing yards for the season, he even won the Heisman Trophy. Simpson won the trophy the following year. They have had some historic matchups like the 1929 series. I mean, it goes back really far. The 39 series, the 52s. I mean, they have played a lot of historic games between them two. And the thing that I did not know that is really, I can't believe that these two campuses are only 12 miles separates them in the same city. That's one of the most unusual things about this rivalry and about these two schools.
Okay, Marvin, you got. I'm giving you about 5-6 minutes about why. Okay, USC is going to win this game. 7 minutes. You're on your dime now. Mel, you're on yours, and I'm just going to go ahead and let Candy with her fastest station breaks. And we're not doing one tonight. Letting you guys roll. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, Candy, going back to what you were saying about that, the 67 game that we won when we beat the number 1 UCLA Bruins. If you ever check it out, if you ever watch any of OJ's highlights, one of the major highlights that you'll always see in the OJ Simpson reel is what they call the run. It was a 4th quarter run, second half run. I mean, where Juice showed you everything about who he was: speed, the size, the power, the agility, the footwork. It's an iconic run. Anybody who wants to see classic O.J. Simpson, and you said it, it's the year. It was his first year at USC, coming out of JUCO. They gave the Heisman to UCLA. They gave the Heisman to UCLA to quarterback, and that's the only one that they have. We have 8. That's another story. And that's but OJ had a hell of a run. Listen, this is special. This is really special. UCLA is having a historically bad season. I mean, this is even UCLA, who is what they are. They're a better program than this, and you see the turmoil they've had with their head coach. They got rid of Deshaun Foster, who was one of their great running backs of all time. I played against Deshaun. As a matter of fact, I played against Deshaun in the 90s when you were talking about that streak. I was unfortunately a part of that streak from 95 to 98. I was there for the K McNown years, and K McNown, who ended up going first round to the Bears as a quarterback. I don't know if his NFL career panned out, but when he was in college, man, he was magical. It was almost like Tebow style, how magical it really was. It was crazy. And we go into this game favored. I think we were favored a couple times, and we put up over 40 points, but we could not stop K McNown. We couldn't get pressure on him. We couldn't stop Danny Farmer. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the running back, was a tough out. JJ Stokes was a tough out. But no, they had a team, man. This is different, though. This is different. Again, UCLA is looking at a historically bad season. I think their quarterback is going to be out, and he's their leading passer and their leading rusher, I believe. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a good situation. Their head coach is out, so they're playing with a backup head coach. But the thing about it, it's a rivalry game. It's a rivalry game. So in spite of what they're up against, and I'll get into what they're up against in a second, but in spite of what they're up against, I expect UCLA to come out there like they're the number one team in the nation. I expect them to have that confidence. I expect it because these are the guys next door. These dudes. You know what I'm saying? They so regardless of who we are and what we've done, they're not coming out here showing us any respect. You know what I mean? Who is USC? USC is legitimately a team with one of the best offenses in the nation. Didn't show it last week against Oregon, I know. But trust me, we have a ground game when we play against most teams. We're playing with our third and fourth running back in King Miller. We're playing with walk-on and backup offensive linemen. There's no excuses to that. Zach Henson, our offensive line coach, he has these boys ready. This offensive line has been blocking for also a guy who was a Heisman candidate at quarterback, Jaden Maiava. Jaden Maiava this year played really well. Right now, he leads the nation in QBR, okay? And if he comes back next year, he will, without question, be the Heisman frontrunner. But Jaden Maiava, as good as he is throwing the ball to Mekhi Lemon. Mekhi Lemon is the Biletnikoff leader right now. He's the one favorite to win the trophy for the best receiver in the nation. And across for him is Jacoby Lane. All he does is make one-handed catches, okay? Guys, USC offense right now, our offense is legitimately a top 10 offense in the country. I say top 10 because I think we took a hit in the ratings after last week's game. Going into last week's game, we were a top 3, top 5 offense. So UCLA hasn't seen, even in beating Penn State, who now is a nobody, they haven't seen an offense like this. They haven't seen a quarterback like this. They haven't seen a running back like this. They haven't seen that in combination with wide receivers like this. When you look at what we're bringing in with our tight ends as well, the tight end play, again, this is a complete offense. UCLA is going to have to stop the run, pressure the quarterback, and play defense, on the back end with these safeties and corners. What's crazy is their corners haven't gotten a pick all season long. And, it's kind of weird when you think about that. You play 11 games. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to put it up. You know what I'm saying? We're going to challenge those corners. We're going to challenge those DBs. UCLA's defense can't stop a nosebleed, so we're going to come out there and run that ball. I expect UCLA to be in a very bad position, to be honest with you. Vegas has them as a 21.5-point underdog right now, which is crazy for a rivalry game. 21.5 points, which tells you they expect, USC to blow the doors open on these boys. Again, I've played in this game. I know it's a rivalry game. I do expect this. We're going to pull away, but I expect these Bruins to come out hard. I expect them to come out swinging. I expect them to come out with absolutely nothing to lose and to empty their clip. You saw them last week, with the trick play on the field goal. Expect more of that, stuff like that. I mean, again, when you line them up man for man, they're completely outmatched. USC is a whole other caliber of animal here. We're talking about a Chihuahua, and a Rottweiler. You know what I'm saying? That's really what you're looking at when you size them up. So they're going to have to do all the tricks and all the stuff, man, because we're coming out there with straight dogs on offense, running the game, throwing the ball. Defensively, we haven't been the team that we want to be, but when you play against like UCLA, who's going to be without their best their best passer, best rusher, they really have no threats in the passing game. It's going to be hard as the game goes on. I have more to say in response to Mel here, but that's my first take.
All right. Well, also, Candy, quick sandwich a quick station break in here, and then we'll go ahead and put Mel on. I just want to make sure we get the book in at least one time, and then we'll try to make sure that Marvin has enough time to respond back. Go ahead, Candy, with a quick station break, Mel, and then back to Marvin.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth, Morgan Roth. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show or be on a show, you can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And if you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, click it, like us, share us, and then turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live.
All right. All right, Mel, go ahead, respond, and Marvin comes back. I don't know. You make predictions, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm not making a prediction because I'm staying neutral in this one. This is between you guys. Thanks, Robert.
First of all,
Appreciate you,
Marvin, kudos. That was great, man. I mean, if I was thinking about going to USC, if I had a son and he was, eligible to go to college, and he's the guy, you're the guy I would want him to talk to if I was thinking about going to USC. That was great. Yeah. Soliloquy there about USC, but it kind of reminds me of the replacements when Coach Jimmy McGinty was talking to the players the last game they were playing, and he said, I think he said something about the difference between that team and this team is that there's no tomorrow for you guys. Tomorrow, you guys are going to be back at your regular jobs doing this and that and so forth and so on. With UCLA in this particular game, there's no tomorrow for the coach. After tomorrow, he's no longer the interim coach there. And a lot of these players probably won't be there. And that's what makes them dangerous. And Marvin knows in a rivalry game, it doesn't matter. Vegas, they have them at a 20, 21 point, 21 and a half point underdog, whatever the case may be. But in rivalry games, it doesn't matter. And I've been in some of those games where we were heavily favored and came home with an L burger. And that wasn't a good feeling. And, because of Rodney Pete. And we, I don't know about Marvin, but back then, we really did not like those guys on the other side of the city. On the other side of town. We really did not like them at all. And it doesn't matter what you did the rest of the season. It didn't matter what happened the game before. As long as you beat SC, then the season was a success. And so now UCLA has an opportunity to play spoilers for USC and whatever postseason aspirations they may have. Yeah, Lincoln Riley has brought that same type of program from Oklahoma, the Big 12 type of program to the Big 10, and they have no defense still. Yes, UCLA doesn't have a defense. I can't say who's going to show up for UCLA. I don't know if the quarterback is going to play or not, but it doesn't really matter. USC, they have no defense. UCLA's defense is porous as well. Yes, they are. USC probably has the better talent. Probably so. I'll give them that. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is the numbers that are on the scoreboard. And at the end of the day, when those 60 minutes have expired, UCLA will put up more numbers than USC and will be victorious.
Okay, you have one quick
rebuttal. So, listen, UCLA is putting up 18 points a game on offense. 18 points a game. I want to say
all we need to do is hold you to 17.
Yeah, that's not so. Listen, Mel is completely correct. In a rivalry game, we do these kids, this city again. These kids at UCLA, they know these dudes at SC. These dudes at SC, they know these people at UCLA. They know the girls. They knew all that. They know each other like that. That's how it was when I was there. That's how it was when my dad was there. The same for Mel and his dad. You know what I'm saying? So they're so familiar that there is no intimidation to a degree. I would say in the rivalry game, you just want to go across the street and handle business. But the reality is, there's a difference. Again, a Chihuahua, and a pit bull is what we're dealing with, a Rottweiler. USC's offense is, we put up 35 points for fun. You know what I'm saying? Against lesser competition. This should be one of those games where you see USC fully flex all its muscles in the pass game, in the run game. I really expect a no mercy style of play from Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley and USC were embarrassed last week in Eugene at Oregon. Okay, there's a filthy taste in our mouth, and trust me, when you beat a school like UCLA, you gonna feel better. As a fan, as an alum, I've had that feeling. I know what it's like. Okay, I can say that as a fan and as an alum. But this game is big.
As a player, did you ever win a game, Marvin?
Mel, I'm talking as a player.
I'm sorry. I just thought you might want to share.
As a player, you know what I'm saying? I know what it means. These dudes in the locker room on both sides of the ball are feeling good and feeling confident. But again, USC, just look at what we've done the first 11 games. We are statistically one of the best offenses in the country. That won't be any different today. Emotions are real, but emotions, you get into the practical side of life, once you get into the game and you up against Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane, and you're trying to stop King Miller from running that ball downhill, play after play. You got to keep up with Jaden Maava on the read option. So, it's a lot for UCLA to deal with. This is going to be their biggest challenge defensively as playing against this offense. And, for USC, again, whose defense has struggled, I admit, for UCLA to only average 18 points a game this season, this game should get ugly. I don't see how this doesn't end up being a 20, 30-point win for USC, to be honest with you.
Marvin, I don't mind sharing my record against USC. What was your record again against USC when you were there, when you played?
Mel, I don't know if you're a part of it or not, but the NFL is involved with this CTE concussion lawsuit.
So you don't remember?
It's fuzzy. I don't remember. It's fuzzy. I think. I'm just saying. I was a blocking fullback. I took a lot of
me
these,
too.
You know what I'm saying?
Me too. Let me help you. It was 0-4. Let me help you with that. It was 0-4. Now I was only 2-2. So I'm not proud of that. And the last one still hurts. Me and my brother didn't talk to each other the whole time on the plane ride home, man. That loss still to this day stings real hard.
The only thing I'm going to say, Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks have embarrassed a few people. Don't feel too bad, Marvin. That's all I'm going to say. You guys are doing an unbelievable job. And just so everybody will know, this will continue on Tuesday night on Inside the Big Ten. This is just the appetizer, people, with these two. I love doing this. Candy, what do you think about doing a show? I don't have to say much. I got these two.
Let me say this, Scott. Let me say this. USC right now, I think we're ranked 17 in the playoff poll. Man. That's for the teams who they are considered for possibly going to the playoffs. They rank you if you don't know. So yeah, we're like 17 right now. I expect that to move up. It won't get to 12. I don't think beating UCLA, because people don't respect UCLA. So winning against UCLA isn't. Not just being honest. Come on, this is a tough year this year. This isn't 1967 when y'all had BB and OJ. You know what I'm saying? This is a different situation. So no, beating UCLA isn't going to help us at all. Even if we cover beating by over 20, which I think we will. But let me add this, because Mel was saying if he was a young kid, he would consider takeaway football. USC and UCLA, I have to say, are both top 25 academic institutions. In any academic ranking you look at, when they rank top 25, you'll have the Ivy League up there, and then right under that is always USC and UCLA, and we're always like 1 or 2 spots apart. So I'm very proud to say that in this rivalry, in this Big Ten, old school Pac-10 rivalry, you're not just getting two programs who each have over 100 national championships to claim, but you're also getting genuine top academic universities. In this particular game, this USC was expected to be a playoff team. There were people who were talking about playoffs and making a run. We still have that momentum. We still have those caliber of players. In this game, you're going to probably see the best of what we are. This should be our best game all year.
Yeah, well, the only thing I'm going to say about all of this is this. The Big Ten has got to be thrilled that they have Los Angeles and this rivalry in their conference. And I'll tell you, the Big Ten is a big winner. They had LA. That's what they visualized. Oregon and I get Washington is okay, but this is unbelievable stuff. It really is. Only on our network can we have you two going at it Saturday morning. We're not even going to talk about Michigan, Ohio State. We just want to stay. But here, Big Ten, to me, is the biggest winners, and you guys are bigger winners. Go ahead. Well, you got the last word. Unless Marvin can extend a couple more minutes, it's up to him.
with all that said, and Marvin, he's kind of straddling the fence there. So just want to reiterate so everybody knows, Marvin and I do have a small little side wager on this game, right, Marvin?
Right.
We do have a little side wager that we
Delicious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have to. We don't, we don't have any sponsors here, so we don't want to name any names.
They actually did contribute toward the NFOPA golf tournament. So
okay,
I got to
right.
say that.
Okay, well that's good. Well, shout out to Bagelicious then. So that's where we got a little side wager there, but. With all that being said, but I think UCLA is the top institution as far as academics is concerned. I think and then the type of men that come out of both institutions, particularly UCLA, the type of men that come out of that institution. But again, rivalry games, it doesn't matter, and I really don't know what to expect. There's a lot of times I can tell you when Pete Carroll was coaching there, well, I wouldn't even watch the game because it would just be a bloodbath. I just couldn't watch it. I couldn't stand to see what USC was going to do to our Bruins. After the Penn State game, I feel a little bit more optimistic. Now, it hasn't gone well so much so afterwards. We haven't won a game in a little bit here. We got Washington beat us up pretty good last week. I am just praying that the guys will just show up, have some pride, go out there and compete. And at the end of the day, when the dust settles, UCLA will have more points up there than USC. That's it. That's all I can hope for. That they're going to go out there and compete. They're going to fight. They're going to scratch. They're going to claw and do whatever it is that they can to make sure that they end this season on a high note, because it's been a difficult season for them without question. And all of them, there is no tomorrow. There's no tomorrow for Coach. So he's got to whatever he's got to throw it all out. Got to throw it all out there and see what happens. Throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. And I'm looking forward to the game. I'm looking forward to it. I'll know early on what it's going to look like depending on how they come out there. If they're flying around having fun, then USC is they're gonna find out, man. Hey, man, well, all right, we're in a dogfight here, man. We're in a real street fight here. And we'll see. I don't think the one thing about USC, they don't like fist fights. So we got to muck it up a little bit. We got to muck it up a little bit, make it real nasty for them because they don't like it. They think they're a little better than us. They kind of look at us as a redheaded step brother. So we got to muck it up a little bit, get a little nasty, and see if they respond.
All right, all I'll say is thank you, Robert. We appreciate you subscribing and glad you enjoyed it. And all I'll say about this is this. To be continued on Tuesday night on Inside the Picton, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, Marvin, it's up to you. We're at 8:24. Do you have 1 or 2 minutes, or what do you got left? Because the only thing that you guys have left is promote yourself or just keep talking.
Listen, like I said, man, we're headed to the Empire State Building here.
All right.
Guys, listen. This should be, it's a great rivalry. It really is. It's the only rivalry in college football where both teams are in the same city. And that's for Power 4 teams. There's no other rivalry like this. And Candy said it. Candy said we were 12 miles apart. I thought we were closer than that. I thought it was 7 miles linear on a straight line. But nevertheless,
it's a crow's fly, huh?
All I'll say is if you think you're 12 miles apart, go to North Carolina. You got Duke, NC State, and you have Duke, NC State, North Carolina. They're close too, but I'm leaving it at that. You go to the Empire State Building. We go to Tampa.
They're not in the same city. They're not in the same city. We're in the
they're in the same area. It doesn't matter. And we're going to pick this thing up on Tuesday night at Inside the Picton. Glad everybody can join us. God bless Robert Taylor for being the life of the chat room. Look forward to seeing you on more shows. What a great show here this morning. We go up I-75. He goes to Empire State Building. You're going to have yourself a great weekend, Mel. But this will definitely be continued on Tuesday night. God bless everybody. Thank you very much for joining us on this special edition of Inside the Picton early morning.
Beat the Bruins.
Everybody. There you go. Leave it at that.
Bruins.
Thank you.
Fours up.
Great show.